other antibiotics, other interventions, seeking out the doctor and being like, oh, now I have a cold, bouncing from one thing to another, and treating these things one to another. Like, I recognized as they handed me the prescription, and I wrestled with, do I take this? I looked at my ankle again, and I knew I had to take it, and that what it was going to mean for my next 6 months, but I wasn't going to take it. I wasn't going to freak out when my next infection came, because I knew it was going to come. Like, it was inevitable because of where I was at and how long it was going to take to rebuild. So, and also being someone who struggles with IBS as it is. And so I've been really super dialed into what's called the FODMAP, which is like a way of eating for people who are hyper sensitive and reactive to foods. FOD map, and it's, I mean, obviously the things that are like, don't eat like an asshole. I mean, I have not eaten like an asshole in a long time, which we'll get to talking about that, because I know some people right now who are eating like an asshole, and it pisses me off. But it's if you look it up online, I'm trying to see if it shows what it stands for, but like, you can look it up on Wikipedia or whatever. I have just like a FODMAP food list that sticks on my phone, and it just talks about which specific legume, like, things like which vegetables are tend to be more reactive, and which ones are more acceptable, things like avoiding onions, garlic, like all these little extras. But then stuff that you wouldn't even think of, like celery, asparagus, just looking at beetroot, artichoke, shallots, cauliflower, apples, avocado, which has been a huge loss. I love avocado. Go ahead.
I want to ask you a question. So I have 2 clients that are on the FODMAP diet, and with them, they often tell me it can be a struggle in a lot of different ways. Whether it's with their significance, they want to go out somewhere, they want to eat a certain way, and one significant feels upset that they can't share this experience with them, or beyond that, it's just kind of psychologically, it's like, oh, I wish, like you were saying, avocados. I wish I could have avocados. I'm really craving that, but I can't because it's gonna make me feel like shit. No pun intended.
Right.
So I want to get your take on like what goes on psychologically for you, because two of these clients are just like, oh, it's just so hard, and they make do with it. They do, and they find ways to enjoy their food. But I mean, I'm wondering what you go through.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually like I guess it's a joke in between myself and Lauren that I sort of make her. I call her my FODMAP lady. And so I literally ask her, oh, am I allowed to eat this? Like, in a very sarcastic way, like she's somehow overbearing and controlling, and I kind of make her this bad guy. And I'm like, she's like, well, you really can't have avocados. And I'm like, oh, great. Now you're keeping me from eating avocados. Like, and I kind of make a big joke out of it. But essentially, the way that I deal with it is... because, I mean, I was already eating. I think people who have to go right to that type of restriction. So the one that I have on my phone is just ibsdiets.org. So just the letter IBS diets.org. And they have a huge FODMAP list, and it covers everything. And when you, I think there's a psychology in what you're eliminating and not in what you have. And so the way that I deal with it is I look at everything I can have. I don't look at anything I can't. So we fill the apartment with everything I can have, and then there is no restriction.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that I can't have. Okay. Right? Like, everything that we have, I can have. So there is no, I can't have this. It's, I can have everything that's around me.
Okay. I mean, I really like that perspective. But my follow-up question is, in a situation, I mean, around
shopping.
Yeah, or like, say, for example, like you're in a social group of friends, and I think, Lauren is very supportive of you, of course, but say you're around your friends and you're seeing that they're eating all these things. You're like, oh, I really wish I could have it. I mean, what kind of perspectives would you cultivate to be able to not necessarily like suppress yourself, but more so be okay and be happy with where you are, with what's happening in your body? Like, what would you do?
I think about it as like a this or that. Like, so no garlic, which is like, obvious. Like, even for people who have normal digestive systems, like, garlic smells bad sometimes, and you're gonna fart it out, and it's gonna be bad. So, it's a very yummy. It's a very reactive food. So it's not shocking that like it's completely off limits to me. But it's kind of like, all right, well, oregano or garlic, like this or that. So I have a lot of oregano, and I don't have any garlic. I have a lot of olive oil and oregano, and that kind of does it. I kind of look at everything as this or that. I can have roasted vegetables, but I used to love like roasted onions, like red onion, but I can't have red onion, but I can have scallion as long as it's the green part. So like, little known fact, like the top of the scallion is actually like, it's a leaf and has a totally different, properties than the root base, which is an onion. So the onions are what's under the ground. The green part is what's above the ground. So, if you are IBS out there, you can have the top of the scallion, just not the white part. Okay. So the white part does brutal things to me because it is an onion, but the top is not. So it's kind of like scallion or onion. Okay, well, it's scallion. So I think that it's become a this or that for me. And for me, it's not been so bad because all meat is all good. Obviously, like, sausage is a no because it's mixed with spices, but like, if I get ground pork and I just form it into a sausage, I can put oregano in it. So, bacon's still fine. Like, all my fun meats are still on the table. Like, I eat all the animals I want, and then I can still have, I still eat butter, which I'm still fine with. If you're still sensitive to that, you can go to ghee. So I guess, like, in the very microscopic veggie sense, it's like a this or that. But the first thing is to just not eat the horrible things, which is horrible for everybody. The wheat, the soy, the main things are gonna, dairy, that are gonna wreck you anyway. And then when you get down to the nitty gritty, I think by that point you've probably just let go. You've probably just been like, all right, this or that, nuts or nut butter. Well, nuts.
Yeah. So I like that. I think that was going to be my follow-up kind of comment is, to me, and you can either agree or disagree, it seems like it's like a process of, you're letting go of the things that you felt like were making you happy in a psychological sense, but they were destroying you in another way. And so in turn, they weren't really making you happy in the long run. It was like a transient sense, oh, this tastes good, then, oh, crap, it feels like horrible. And then from this process of letting go, you're learning to enjoy things you may have not seen before. Like, you're like, wow, like, I didn't know, like, I can actually enjoy this thing. This is very interesting. Is that something that you...
Yeah, and actually, the way that you describe it is exactly the way that we coach people for eliminating the base level, right? Like, eliminating the junk food. And I think that maybe IBS is just... It's just another level. And I think that, when we talk about developing habits and building compliance and... I kind of look at it as like, I look at movement as a ladder, right? Like, you're moving up the mastering your body, becoming like a movement ninja. Like, I always say, like, I develop like football ninjas and soccer ninjas. Oh, like, and like, you have to master a squat before you consider, catching a clean, like a front squat before you catch a clean, like an overhead squat before you catch a snatch. Like you're moving up this mastery, and like, you may not get to the highest expression, but you get to your highest expression. It may be a back squat with a barbell, but a goblet squat with a kettlebell, because the front squat with a barbell is just not there for you, right? And it might be something you're peeling away. And I think it's like you're working up those levels. And with diet, it's kind of like you're peeling away the first level of like, all right, don't eat Burger King. Like, and then you go down to be like, all right, let's replace my grains for squashes. Let me get as much, let's get some greens at each meal. And so you kind of go through this balance of let's add things, let's take things away. And so like you move up the levels. And I just think that people talk about like the being paleo for the whole 30, I guess. Originally when I heard that, I actually believed it was 30 foods. I didn't know it was 30 days. I thought it was like 30 foods. And I'm like, oh, that's nothing.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, no, not nothing as in like that's only a few foods.
Right.
For me, that's easy. Because I'm so used to eating so few things. And then it was like the whole, like just eat whole foods for 30 days. I'm like, oh my God, come on, people. That's so easy.
Yeah.
And I guess I take for granted that isn't so easy, but that's another level. And then I'm just another level below. And so I would say that for your friends who have IBS and for other people out there who have IBS, don't jump to level 9 when you're not even at level 5. Like you're going to feel worlds away better if you get to level 4 and you peel away the wheat, and then you'll feel better when you peel away the dairy. And like you just kind of successfully peel things away instead of taking it all away at once. I've been dealing with this for so many years, and I've also been eating clean for so many years that taking away those last few things originally was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I mean, you're going to take asparagus from me? Like, this just seems insulting. Yeah. But you get over it, and you're like, all right, let me roast up some eggplant and some peppers, and I'm solid. So I think it's just moving down those levels, and you have to make a context of like, at each level, this or that, and you just replace those things. So that's the way that I've been eating, and that's been even more important. That I don't really have a buffer or a leeway, and it's always longer than you think. Like I took antibiotics, and it's not like this was like three weeks ago, and sometimes Lauren will be like, "Well, you're not better yet," and I'm like, "No, this is gonna be 6 months." Like when you understand like that, you have to always remind yourself this is going to be longer than you think. To rebuild your gut biome, it's not 3 weeks, it's not 3 months, it's 6 months.
Yeah.
And by the time you become so comfortable with it, it just kind of pulls you through. But just I would say stay in longer than you think.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point, and I think. Because like once metabolic damage happens, like reversing metabolic damage, it takes a long time. It's not just like you snap your fingers, you take a pill, or you take this holistic style of living and do it for 2 days and be like, oh, I should feel better. It doesn't work that way. It does take time. Yeah. But I think it's a testament to the plasticity of both the human psyche and the human body. Like it's so plastic. You can really change. Yeah. And it takes time, but it is plastic, and there's resiliency in your body if you can honor that. But I think beyond that, like honoring where you are, like where you are as a person, not anyone else, like not even ignoring, maybe acknowledging that, you have a tendency to compare yourself to others and see that the person across from you can eat X, Y, and Z. Oh man, look at that person. They're doing that. Why can't I do that? And it's there. Acknowledge it. Cool. But then being able to say, well, where am I? Like, where am I at right now? And is that okay? Yes, it is okay. Yeah,
Actually, that's something just something about the way you said that just like totally clicked for me there. Like, I think I always talk to, especially athletes, in a way that, so, and we'll kind of talk about this, but like I've recently, our head coach at the soccer team for the Aztecs has charged me with, guys are eating like crap. Like we have some guys that are just fat, and he's like, this is not okay. And like here's the truth: if you eat like an asshole, you're going to be fat. Like I don't care how much activity you do. Activity is not. This is not a calories in, calories out thing. Like you can get high calories from good sources. Like you're gonna tell me that bacon and butter are not high calorie? You're out of your minds. So you can get high calorie from good source. Yeah. But if you're gonna eat like an asshole, you're gonna be fat. Like that's Lauren's quote. I must quote her with it. She was like, "Yeah, well, if you're gonna eat like an asshole, you will be fat." And I was like, "That's brilliant. I'm gonna use that." But
I could be a T-shirt line.
Yeah, it's totally gonna be a T-shirt. Wellbeing podcast. If you eat like an asshole, you will be fat. But And so it's kind of like for our general population and for wellness people, we